Good afternoon once again, everybody, and welcome to downtown Marienville, the third annual Forest County Bigfoot Festival. My name is Dave Yaney. I own Yaney's Maple and Maple Kettle Corn over here. The young lady making the Maple Kettle Corn, my wife, Zenobia, and Sue Leonberg over here at the festival tent are the organizers of this event. And we want to thank you for coming here and making it such a terrific event. Without you, this event wouldn't be what it is. We want to thank Phil Rohraback, wherever he is, for managing the garbage, the township supervisors for having the patience to put up with us, and the town of Marienville for welcoming everybody. Next year's Bigfoot Festival date is June 7, 8, and 9. It'll be held similar place. We hope to be able to iron out any wrinkles that we had this year. And I realize that there was some traffic issues. We did not expect the response that we got yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, there were approximately 10,000 people here at one time. And Route 66 and 899 coming north was a literal parking lot. People actually turned around and went home. This was the Bigfoot Woodstock. And I want to thank y'all for making it happen. I'd like to introduce our last speaker, Mike Familant.
Thank you, Dave. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? How many people have been here all weekend? So you know me a little bit. I'm your MC of the weekend. My name is Mike Familant. How many people here believe in Bigfoot? A lot of people. That's what I like to see. If you have your hands raised, you're part of the 29% or 91 million people in the country that believe in Bigfoot. A little housekeeping stuff before I get started. I know I have a PowerPoint here, and you all cannot see it. I totally understand. That is just for... Can everybody hear me? You can hear me back in the back? Cool. That is just for me, so I don't lose track and stuff like that. But anyway, I think Bigfoot is a biological creature. I think he's here on this earth just like you and I, just like a deer, a chicken, a skunk, or a turkey or something like that. I think it's a physical creature. I don't think it's related to UFOs or aliens. Some people believe that they're related to UFOs and aliens. Some people believe they're intradimensional and can shapeshift into and out of this dimension. The reason why I believe that they're biological is because of the evidence that I have found so far would lead me to believe that. A little bit about me. My name is Mike Familant. I am 33 years old. I am from the armpit of New Jersey, armpit of Pennsylvania and New York in northwestern New Jersey. I'm 33. I'm an EMT, and I volunteer for New Jersey Search and Rescue. Thank you. No, that's okay. But I'm a full-time Bigfoot researcher. I do this full-time. I go around and I speak at libraries, and during the day what I do is I look for Bigfoot evidence. I go on scouting hikes where we look for Bigfoot hairs, scat, footprints, stuff like that. And then at night we use our investigative equipment, which I'll tell you about in a second, how we go and we try to lure Bigfoot. It's kind of like fishing, try to lure Bigfoot into our camp to get evidence of Bigfoot. But the real reason why I'm here is to entice friends and families to get outside, off the couch, and into nature more. I think everybody is too connected nowadays to their cell phones, especially the younger generations, especially post-COVID. I challenge you to get outside and see something that you wouldn't normally see sitting on your couch every day. See that waterfall that you hadn't planned on visiting. See that, hike that trail that you haven't planned on doing in a while. My first Bigfoot encounter happened in 2011. I've been researching since 2011. I was working at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida, which was the best job I've ever had my entire life. And I was watching Finding Bigfoot on TV. Has anybody seen Finding Bigfoot? Yeah, a couple people. It's a show where they go out and they interview witnesses during the day, and they go out and look for Bigfoot at night. It's kind of like my show, except my show's a lot better. So they said at the end of the show, hey, if you want to come out with us, you're more than welcome to. All you got to do is pay this ridiculous amount of money and sign your life away, and you can go out with the crew and look for Bigfoot. So I said, there is no way that I am not doing this, right? There's not happening. I'm definitely doing this. I was engaged at the time, and I did not tell my fiance what we were doing. This is going to be a little surprise, right? Little pre-wedding surprise. Bad idea. Anyways, so I had... I'll cover that in a second. This is my first time ever camping. Growing up, I was always an inside kid playing video games on the TV and stuff like that. So I was never outside. This is my first time ever camping. So I had to acquire all my camping gear, my sleeping bag and my tent and my headlamp and stuff like that. And finally, my fiance was like, "Mike, what are we doing? You know, this is getting ridiculous. What are we doing?" And I'm like, "Hun, we're gonna go look for Bigfoot in North Florida, right?" And then we broke up. So that put me in a predicament where I had to move up to Tampa, and I got a job working on ambulance for the city. And I had picked, the trip was coming up in about 3 weeks, and I had needed somebody to go. These are non-refundable tickets. So I had this one ticket that I needed to find somebody to come with me. So I picked the weirdest partner on the ambulance. His name is Jimmy. He's the weirdest person I know. And I said, "Hey, Jimmy, we got to go look for Bigfoot. You want to come with me?" And he said, with enthusiastically, "Absolutely." And he's my best friend to this day, right? So we go up to Torreya State Park in North Florida. It's 60 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, 30 miles from Georgia. The cool thing about Torreya State Park is it only has the 200 species or specimens of the Torreya pine tree left. There's only 200 in the world. They only grow in Torreya State Park. So if you're ever down in the Florida Panhandle, it's a really cool piece of thing to see, and it won't be around forever. But anyways, we get to Torreya State Park, and there were like 60 other people there. And I was like, how are we going to find Bigfoot with 60 other people, right? So anyways, we went 3 days or 4 nights, 3 nights, 4 days of hiking, speaking to witnesses, really cool stuff. We came across a Florida panther footprint, which was really cool, but nothing happened in the way of Bigfoot. Nothing happened at all. It was kind of a bust, actually. Anyways, so it was the last night, and me and my buddy were up watching a meteor shower. Wow, that's loud. We were up watching a meteor shower, and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we hear a knock on a tree. Bam! And I had instantly thought it was these people that put on the expedition. Because I was like, okay, we didn't get any Bigfoot activity this trip. It's late at night. These people are probably knocking on trees to try to get our money's worth out of it, right? So I was like, okay, that's cool. They're hoaxing us, whatever. And then about 5 minutes later, we hear a tree knock from the complete opposite direction. Bam, tree knock. So I'm like, wow, these people are pretty good. You know, like they're knocking on trees. They must have radios and stuff like that. So about 15 minutes goes by, and we're still up watching the meteor shower, and you hear come crashing through the trees, plunk. A fist-sized rock about this big comes tumbling through the trees, and it's at this point in my life where I said, nope, this is how horror movies start. I am out of here. I am not doing this. And my buddy was like, if you want to go sleep in the car, you're more than welcome to sleep in the car. And by the time he said that, I had my tent and my sleeping bag, and I was just beelining it right to the car. So anyways, he talked some sense into me. He's like, Mike, Bigfoots knock on trees and they throw rocks. This could be something like a Bigfoot activity. This could be something that, you know, is squatchy. So I was like, yeah, I suppose you're right. So I went out back by the campfire, and over the course of the next 15 minutes, 4 more of these fist-sized rocks came and landed 5 to 10 feet from us, right? So you remember how I said my buddy's a little weird? So he comes to me, he's like, Mike, I got an idea. I'm going to throw a rock back at it. And I said, Jimmy, I don't think that's a good idea, man, right? Like, so he chucks a rock back in the general direction of where the rocks came from. And I knew it wasn't a person at that exact moment because a laptop-sized boulder came crashing down the trees and landed 5 feet from us. So that was my first little experience with Bigfoot. We went the next day. We asked around to all the other campers, the other 60 people there, hey, did you guys hear anything? Did you guys see anything? They all said, nope, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. So then we went and we did some measurements, and the closest that this thing could have been was like 75 yards away. So I don't know if Nolan Ryan's hanging out in the middle of North Florida woods chucking rocks in the middle of the night, but that's outside of human range, especially for a big boulder like that. So about 3 weeks goes by, and we watch all the shows on TV. We're now addicted to this Bigfoot thing. And about 3 weeks later, we decide we're professionals. We're going to go out by ourselves, right? So we go out to Colt Creek State Park in Central Florida. It's a big hunting preserve in the green swamp of Florida. And we're out there, and it's a no-holds-barred kind of night. I'm doing Bigfoot calls like it's my job. Like every 2 seconds, I'm doing a Bigfoot vocalization, right? So anything with a brain would know that there's two idiots running around the woods yelling. They're yelling their face off, right? So anything with a brain would have got out of the area, right? So my buddy, he's not scared. I'm with Jimmy again. He's got his 6-foot machete and his 10 million lumen spotlight that he's got going around, shining around. And we're hiking, and I'm doing these big Bigfoot calls. And the light comes across this pair of eyes, 2 pairs of eyes. One is like a fire engine red, and one is like an aqua blue color, just like that gentleman's shirt right there. And they're just staring back at us. And we, because now we're professionals at Bigfoot after 3 weeks, we immediately thought that it was people. We thought there were illegal poachers out there hunting at night. And so we just said, hey, we're just looking for Bigfoot. Sorry, we'll go back to camp type of thing, right? And the eyes just stared back at us. Dead silence, just stared back at us, right? So then the one set, the red set, turns, looks at the blue set, then turns and looks back at us, and then blinks. And that was another nope moment. We were out of there, not sticking around for that. My buddy, he put a notch on the tree, which is where we went the next day, and we did a recreation, and the eyes were about this tall and about this far apart. So that was pretty cool. The only thing that I think that could have been to this day besides a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch would be 2 different species of owls on a branch next to each other, fluttering, which doesn't make sense to me. Or it was a Bigfoot. I don't know. So in 2016, I moved back to New Jersey, and I had been watching all the shows on TV. I had become an investigator with the BFRO. I was watching all the shows, doing investigating, documentation, all this stuff, research, and I was really into the Bigfoot thing, but I was really upset with the quality of shows on TV and how all the shows on TV seemed kind of fake, for lack of better words. So what I did, I decided I had a background in video editing, so I decided I'm going to make a show about Bigfoot and call it In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. Big Red Eye is Sussex County, New Jersey's Bigfoot. The story behind it, in 1972, a state park ranger from High Point State Park was doing his patrol, and he went on record, said he saw 2 pairs of reflecting red eyes. From that, he wrote it down in his report, and then the newspaper somehow got a hold of that, and thus the name Big Red Eye was born. Anyways, to this date, we have about 63 episodes on our YouTube channel. We're filming season 8 right now. Which is awesome. Every place we go to, we film. So right now we're filming in Allegheny National Forest, which is awesome. We actually found a Bigfoot track behind camp, which is really cool. Yeah. So that's In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. We go all over the country. I've been from Maine to Florida to Indiana to Michigan, all in between. Currently, this year so far, I've been in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Indiana. Next week, I'll be in Virginia. The week after, I'll be in West Virginia. And then the week after, I'll be in Maine. So we got some traveling ahead of us, but it's great. And it's all to bring people my mission statement about getting people outside and into nature more. I think that's, like I said, it's so imperative. So let's look at New Jersey for a second. Any place you go in New Jersey, and let's look at numbers, because everybody loves numbers. In New Jersey, you have every 3rd year, sightings of Bigfoot increase by 80%. Why? Any ideas? Shout them out. Hunting season? Oh, population of people. Yep. Some say it could be because of migration. But let's look at some other factors that go into this theory, okay? So Sussex County has the highest density of black bear population east of the Mississippi. Is it ironic that we also have the highest Bigfoot sightings east of the Mississippi as well? I don't know, but what that would lead me to believe, and if you take a state map or the United States map and you overlay it with Bigfoot sightings and a bear population map, they're almost the exact same. So that would lead me to believe that Bigfoot would eat the similar things that bear eat, right? They live in the same spots. They probably eat the same things. They're two big predators. So what do bears eat? Everything. Berries, food. Yeah, of course they eat food. Berries, grasses, shrubs. 70% of their diet actually consists of berries and grasses and stuff like that. So I think that's what Bigfoot would eat too, a majority of grasses and shrubs. So I think what's really cool is if you take a berry bush, you strip that berry bush 100%, so there's no berries, no leaves left on it, and you break the bush, it takes 3 years for that bush to produce berries again. So I think Bigfoots are nomadic. I think they follow the food, just like ancient humans do. I think that's just what makes sense, right? And I would challenge any investigator, if you are an investigator or you know an investigator, try to use this theory in your neck of the woods to see if you can come up with the same thing. Because if we could come up with the same theories about why they do what they do, then we're one step closer to finding out what these species truly are. Let's talk about the Jersey Devil. Not just a hockey team, people. There's an actual story behind it. In the 1970s, Mrs. Leeds of Leeds Point, New Jersey, she had 12 children. She was about to have her 13th child, and she said before the child came out, this child is going to be the devil. So out pops the baby, and it sprouts a little tail, grows some bat wings and a goat-like face, kills the family, flies up through the chimney, and terrorizes the residents of New Jersey to this day. Now, if that's a folklore story. I don't think that's actually happened. If it did, it'd be kind of creepy, I think. But what's cool about it is in the early 1900s, the factories and schools shut down in the Pine Barrens because of sightings of the Jersey Devil. So this thing was like a legit real thing. It was so real that the Philadelphia Zoo actually offered a $10,000 bounty to anybody that could capture the Jersey Devil, dead or alive. I guess I don't need that. So somebody actually grabbed I guess the rules were a little lax back in the day because they obtained a kangaroo and they painted a green stripe down the kangaroo's back and glued wings to it and tried to turn the kangaroo in for the bounty. And the zoo was just like, this is a kangaroo. We have these here. Like, come on. But the bounty is still offered. It's still out there, the $10,000 bounty. If anybody wants to go down the Pine Barrens of New Jersey and search for the Jersey Devil and catch one with me, let's do it. We'll split the bounty right down the middle, 70-30. Not a problem. Pennsylvania is known for Bigfoot as well. Here in the Allegheny region, we have, like I said, we just found a Bigfoot footprint behind our camp in the Allegheny National Forest. But we come up here every year for the festival. We've been coming here probably in total about 6 years now, up to the same campsite. But it's cool. I have a map here of Bigfoot sightings in Pennsylvania, but you obviously can't see it. There's definitely some sightings around here, down in Chestnut Ridge area, and I know for a fact in over by New Jersey there's some Bigfoots over there as well. So I've seen and heard them. Not seen them. I haven't seen a Bigfoot. But anyways, who here has heard of skunk apes? South Florida's Bigfoot, right? They have 4 toes compared to the regular 5-toed Bigfoot up here. We think that could be because of inbreeding. Skunk ape reports are of a smaller species, 5 to 6 foot tall compared to the 7 to 8 foot tall Bigfoot that we have up here. But that's easily explainable by Bergman's rule. Before I get into that, some people think that there's different species of Bigfoots, different species of like a Yeti and a Yeren and a Yowie and stuff like that in different countries. But I think it's the same, just like us. We live in different areas, different regional areas and geographic areas. I think that's just like a Bigfoot. They live in different areas, but they're the same species. So as I was saying about skunk apes, generally smaller, they smell funny. The fun fact about the skunk ape is it didn't get its name because of its smell. Actually, one of the first reported sightings had a silver line of hair going down the back, so that's the name skunk ape. But anyways, easily explainable why they're smaller is because of Bergman's rule, which is an ecobiological principle, which simply states that animals that live in warmer environments are generally smaller, where animals that live in colder environments are generally bigger, and that's because of the way they eat and how much they have to eat to sustain themselves throughout the winter. So that's that's probably why Bigfoot's a little bit smaller down in South Florida, just because of Bergman's rule, and that makes sense, and that's putting some science behind Bigfooting, which we always try to do. I'm not going to worry about that. Over there, that's the BMCC1, the Bigfoot Mobile Command Center. She's a 2015 Subaru Outback. My mom almost had a conniption when I took out the entire back seat of it. I built a raised sleeping platform on there so I can sleep in it. I save on hotel fees. I don't have to get a hotel, and when I'm going cross country, I could just simply sleep in the back of it. Very easy. I put some storage cabinets in there, a secondary battery so I can charge everything I need for the show. It's pretty cool. I can survive pretty self-sufficient in there for about a month without having to restock or resupply anything, which is pretty neat, besides food and water, obviously. But it goes everywhere I do, obviously. We've went, so far this year looking for Bigfoot, we've gone 17,500 miles just this year looking for Bigfoot. So that's a little bit. That's going cross-country a couple times. Let's talk about some of the field equipment that we use. What do you think's the first and foremost piece of equipment that a Bigfoot researcher would probably want to have? Camera, right. So I have two types of cameras. My main camera is my filming camera for the show. The thing about that is it's very high quality and really great for filming, but it takes 7 seconds to turn on, where the average Bigfoot sighting lasts 5 seconds. So you can see where that doesn't add up too well. But what I always have on me is my body camera. It's a camera that sits right on your chest. It records all the time, records in the day, at night, records audio. What's cool, it also has a GPS in it, so you can GPS mark the Bigfoot if you happen to see one. So cameras are a thing. Another great piece of equipment that we bring out, and one of my favorite pieces of evidence, or types of evidence to get, is audio evidence. And that's we use a voice recorder for that. You put your voice recorder on the conference setting, and you let it set out overnight, and hopefully you get a Bigfoot audio on that. Bigfoot audio is really cool because it's very hard to fake audio and to hoax audio. It's also easily scrutinizable. You can replay it and replay it and replay it and really listen to the details. So that's cool. Another thing we bring out is our FLIR thermal camera. That thing, instead of picturing light like normal cameras do, this pictures heat. So it can see, so if you give off body heat per se, this camera can see you a field mouse at about 100 yards away, which is awesome for looking at Bigfoot at night. We also bring out, I carry 2 water bottles filled with hydrocal, which is our casting material. If you guys haven't been to my booth yet over on the over there, Big Red Eye, you could see we have Bigfoot casts at our table that came right from the ground. You could check them out. But what it is, hydrocal is just a sandy substance, sandy thing, and we put it in a plastic bag, and then we add some water to it, and it becomes this very gooey substance. And from the gooey substance, you pour it into the Bigfoot trackway, and then in about 2 hours, you pick it up, and you have a perfect Bigfoot cast. At least that's the theory behind it. Another thing we always bring with us is our evidence collection kit. Sterile gloves, tweezers, pen, notebook, definitely imperative things to have with you in your evidence collection kit. But the big thing to look at here is you want to use paper bags instead of plastic bags. If you put hair, for example, if you put hair in a plastic bag and you close that plastic bag, the DNA becomes unreadable. So you always want to use paper bags or cardboard when you find DNA evidence to put in to collect. The other thing we use, the last thing we use is, remember I said in the beginning, Bigfooting is kind of like fishing. I like to lure Bigfoot in. The way I do that is with a deer collar. What I'll do is I'll actually take this deer collar and try to imitate an injured deer which I'm sure I do fine because I have no idea what an injured deer sounds like. But I'll do this vocalization or this call, and in theory, Bigfoot's going to be like, oh, this is an easy meal. I'm going to go in and check this out. And then when he does, we'll use all of our other equipment to film and record the Bigfoot. Where's the skeptics in the room? Any skeptics? Who does not believe in Bigfoot? Anybody? Yeah, there's one loud and proud. Tube in the back. There we go. Part of the band. All right. So yeah, let's go to the Republic of Congo in 1909. The tribes people in the Republic of Congo were telling the biologists that they have a unicorn zebra horse that comes around their village every once in a while. And the biologist said, that is impossible. That creature cannot exist. Just like they say Bigfoot can't exist, right? So anyways, it took them a long time. But after a couple years, they finally classified the okapi, which is like a 500, 600, 700 pound unicorn zebra horse, is actually what it looks like. I have a picture, but you obviously can't see it. The cool thing about the okapi is it's most closely related to the giraffe. It's out of the giraffe family, actually. But anyways, if that was too long ago for you, that was in the early 1900s, let's go to something a little bit more recent. Let's go to 2007, also in the Republic of Congo, where you have this girl named Georgette. And there's a photograph of Georgette, and she's feeding this monkey. And the biologists were skimming through their photo album, and they could not identify this monkey. And so it took them 5 years. And after 5 years, they finally classified the Lasula, which is a small little primate monkey. What's cool about the Lasula is they could actually make a infrasound. They make infrasound, which they say Bigfoot can do as well. Infrasound is a sound that's lower pitched than what we can hear, but we can feel it. And a lot of times when you feel it, you get this sense of dread and uneasiness when when you're hiking or whatnot, if you get hit with this infrasound. All right, I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to try to do it anyway, all right? I have some best evidence that I want to go share with you guys. Do we have anybody familiar with Whitehall, New York? Whitehall, very beautiful. It's in the Adirondack Mountains right outside of Vermont. Great area. It's great for squatching. In the 70s, the 1970s, there was a story, the A-Bear Road Bigfoot story. There were two teenagers partying along A-Bear Road, and they happened to see two Bigfoot come out of the woods, walk across the field, then back into the woods. And then they were so taken back by that, they went down to the police department to report to the police that they just saw this. The police officers went up there, two police officers, and they observed the exact same thing. Two Bigfoot come out of the woods, walk across the field, and then back into the woods. Over the next 10 days, there were 12 Bigfoot sightings in the village of Whitehall. Anyways, we get surrounded when we go up to Whitehall. I'm going to try to play this audio for you. No, I'm probably not, actually, because you won't be able to hear it. Anyways, we were up in Whitehall where we were walking down this fire road, and it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and we walked into this group of Bigfoot, and they did not like us there. They started, you could hear them like growling at us. They were knocking on trees, doing tree knocks. They were actually throwing rocks over our head and hitting trees behind us, which is crazy. That lasted for about 6 minutes. We didn't have any filming equipment with us. We just had our voice recorders going. And it lasted, like I said, about 6 minutes before we couldn't take it anymore, and we just got out of there. I do have some pictures of a tree break that was a good 8-inch diameter tree that was broken straight over the trail. That was not like that the night prior to this, or that night that this happened. We went back the next day and documented everything, of course. And if you'd like to see pictures of that, certainly come up to my booth afterwards and I'll show you pictures. Next piece of evidence I like to show to you guys is when we go down to the Pine Barrens in southern New Jersey, down to the land of the Jersey Devil, we find Bigfoot footprints. But what's cool about them is they're juvenile footprints. They're not big Bigfoot footprints. So we go down there every 3rd year because of my 3-year cycle theory. And what's cool is when we first found them, they were about 5 inches. We went down to the same area 3 years later. They were about this big, 7 inches. 3 years later, they were about 12 inches. So if that was the same Bigfoot, you could see the Bigfoot growing over time, which is crazy. and something that a hoaxer I don't think would be able to do. When we look for Bigfoot footprints, and we find, as a Bigfoot researcher, when we find a Bigfoot footprint in the field, or if you happen to come across a Bigfoot footprint, you want to take a picture of it. The big thing to look at here is if you do take a picture of it, you want to use a scale object. With that, it could be the best scale object would be like a ruler or a tape measure. If you don't have one of them, a dollar bill is perfectly acceptable. That's what I was using for this when we found these prints. But as a Bigfoot researcher, we look for three things when it comes to a Bigfoot footprint that differentiates it from a human footprint. The first thing we look for is toe splay. As humans, we wear shoes and socks our entire lives, so our toes are pretty much compressed together. Bigfoot doesn't, so their toes are splayed apart. When that Bigfoot steps down into the mud, it leaves the debris in between its toes. That's called toe splay. The next thing we look for is, you know, when you go walking on the beach, you leave your crescent-shaped thing in the sand? That's called your longitudinal arch. Bigfoot does not have one. Bigfoot's footprints is very flat, just like some humans, so it doesn't rule out human, but it also rules in Bigfoot. Very flat foot. And the third thing we look for is your, it's called your your mid-tarsal break. It's an actual joint inside Bigfoot's footprint that we don't have, that Bigfoot does. It's actually in the middle of their foot, and it causes it. They use it when they in their locomotion and to step off. So it's if a footprint has that displayed in it, we know it's probably a pretty good example of a Bigfoot footprint. And if it has all those three of those things, then obviously that's the best. Our best piece of evidence that we've ever collected is from northwestern New Jersey in High Point State Park. We went up there and we did a barred owl call. It was 5 of us at night. We did a barred owl call. Does anybody know what a barred owl sounds like? Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, right? Something like that. So we did one of those calls, and I'm gonna do my best to play this piece of audio right now. Let's see if this works. But what you're gonna listen for is a series of 3 howls. The first, on the third howl, you actually hear me step on top of it and say, "This sound," or "That's not a coyote." So I'm gonna play it for you now, and fingers crossed that you can hear it. Can you hear that? You want to hear it one more time? So that was kind of creepy. Remember how I said audio evidence is the best kind of evidence to get? So I sent that audio away to a linguist from the military who does Bigfoot research on the side, and he's a scientist. And he came back with a nice 5-page report that said because of X, Y, and Z, that audio, that vocalization is outside of human range, and it's also is no known animal from northwestern New Jersey. So that's pretty cool, and that comes from a scientist from northwestern, from the military. Anybody heard of the Mantis Man? Mantis Man is from northwestern New Jersey, Morris County. That's like a 4-foot-tall lizard-like praying mantis dude. Lives in the water, so I'm gonna go look for him because I can, right? The funny thing about the Mantis Man is it swims in water, right? And I'm petrified of water. I can't swim or anything like that, so I don't know how I'm going to be going to look for this thing, but I'm going to. If you see a picture of it, I'd rather actually come across a Bigfoot, to be honest with you. There's a bunch of squatchers and squatchettes out here, which is awesome to see. I appreciate everybody bringing their kids out to this event. It's a great day for it. If you want to get into Bigfoot research, but you don't want to pay the exorbitant amount of money that I paid to get into Bigfoot research, you could totally do that by picking up a copy of Squatchables. It's your Bigfoot 101. No, I did not steal the name from Lunchables, so you can't get me on that. But Squatchables, it's a DVD 11-part series. Everything you need to know from getting into Bigfoot research, like even how to hike if you don't know how to read trail markers. It has all that stuff in it, all the way up to very in-depth stuff like how to cast Bigfoot tracks and Bigfoot research protocols and everything like that. It's pretty cool. We also have an Etsy, which helps us support our times in the road here, our gas money and stuff. But you don't have to buy it on Etsy. You can just go over to our booth right there. We have everything here. That's really cool. You can help support the show. Buy me firewood tonight, which would be really cool. The best way to support the show is by going on our YouTube and subscribing. People, we are like this close from making money on YouTube. All right? So every little subscription helps. That's awesome. If we have a new episode that comes out every Monday night. Next Monday, or this coming Monday, tomorrow, is going to be in Stoke State Forest, I believe, where we come across something that's tearing apart a tree. And I'll have to wait for that episode. You have to wait for that episode to find out what that is. I do this. I bring this program to a lot of different places, and we get some really great questions. So I figure I'm going to answer 3 of the most common questions first. The first common question I get are, where are the bones? That's a really good question. Does anybody have any ideas where the bones may be? Bury. That's one. That's a common theory. Bigfoot may bury their bodies. They're dead. They're dead species. That's possible. I think that they don't actually bury them. I think that could be, but I don't think you need to. How many hunters do we have in the room? Couple. How many of you have come across a bear skeleton? Nobody. Never. And that's what when I tell that to hunters, people are always like, where are the bones? And I say, well, where are the bear bones, right? People have never come across a bear bone in the woods. So hunters will hear that and their heads explode. It's kind of funny. So if you're looking for bones, Bigfoot bones, you're looking for bones, needle in a pile of needles is what I like to tell people. How come there's no DNA? Well, we do have Bigfoot DNA, and you should say, wait a second, stop the presses. This is a big thing, and it is. But the short story of it is we do have this 97.8% replicatable DNA. That's human unknown primate. However, we don't have anything to compare it to. Science doesn't have anything to compare it to. So at this stage in the game, unfortunately, science would need a Bigfoot body to be able to prove that the species exists. They are trying something new called eDNA. Has anybody heard of eDNA? Which is environmental DNA, where they go through and they can actually go to a lake and see this types of fish that live in the lake just from a sample of water, which is really neat. And how many are there is another great question. I think there's about 2,000 in the United States. There needs to be enough for a breeding population, but there doesn't need to be enough to obviously find the Bigfoot. So I think a good number would be about 2,000. I think most are in the Pacific Northwest and California, Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State. But I still do think you have a healthy number out here in Pennsylvania. Now, guys, I've been talking for the past half hour. Are there any questions from you guys?
Okay.
Yeah. Do I ever go out armed? No. I don't. And that's a great question. The reason why I don't is it's twofold. One, I don't want to get popped for illegal hunting or what do you call it? Hunting at night, poaching. You don't want to do that. That's a big no-no, especially when we go out with our spotlights and we're spotlighting for animals with a gun. It says no-no. Also, I did you hear my bear mace story yesterday? You guys want to hear a funny story? Okay. So I don't bring weapons, partly because I got sprayed with bear mace one time. And the way that happened was I was in the back of my friend's Jeep, and I always carried bear mace on me. And we went over a bump, and I adjusted myself, and I was like, and it starts going off. And I'm like, Mike, why is your fire extinguisher, because it was a Jeep, why is your fire extinguisher going off? And by the time he said that, he almost flipped the Jeep trying to turn it around, trying to pull over. Both of the front seat passengers got out, and they were on the ground rolling around. They shut the door. I'm in the back seat. I can't get out now, right? So anyways, it took me about 3 days to be able to open my eyes. And there is a video on our YouTube channel of it, yes. Sussex County Bigfoot. Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah. What's the most craziest thing I've found in the forest? That's a good question. Man, I don't know. I said I came across that Florida panther track. That was pretty cool. We've came across Bigfoot footprints that are awesome. But I think the coolest thing isn't really about finding anything cool. It's about seeing stuff that you wouldn't normally see every day. You know, going on that hike and seeing that sunrise and stuff like that, and friends at camp. That's the stuff that really makes the difference when you go out Bigfoot. And it's not the crazy evidence that you find. It's about doing it. You know, and about being outside. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. So the question is, found a Bigfoot footprint near camp in the forest up here. Did I set up any cameras, any trail cameras? Yeah, I did. Here's my spiel on trail cameras. Is I think Bigfoot can see the infrared light that they emit because they have night vision, right? I think Bigfoot have night vision, so I think they could see the infrared that the cameras can emit, and I think they just avoid them, just like we would. You know, if we didn't want to be seen in light, we would avoid that flashlight, obviously. I think Bigfoots do the same thing, and I think that's why there's no real good pictures of Bigfoots on trail cameras. But there are pictures of like hands coming and moving the trail cameras and stuff like that, which is interesting. But with that being said, I still do use trail cameras, but what I do is I put them up in a different way than instead of trying to get an animal on the trail camera. If I think about it, like if I know that Bigfoot can see these cameras, I try to make a circle of trail cameras around my camp and leave one little opening for Bigfoot to come in and check us out with. So that's when they do that, I'm going to be coming in with my FLIR and videotaping it. So that's the theory with trail cameras. Yeah, good question. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah. Michaud State Forest, if you watch my YouTube channel, we do have a couple episodes out of there. Yes, absolutely. It's a great, great, great spot. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Guys, I like to leave everybody with a quote, and this kind of sums up, I think, the whole weekend for all of us here. Life with the possibility of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster is far superior to life without one. Thank you guys very much. My name's Mike Familant. Take care.